Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Hermit Skies, and as is tradition we open a chance cube and it says, ooh, it's all rotten. Is that literally it? I didn't get any rotted flesh? Right, that was a rubbish start to this episode. Disappointing, but this episode won't be, peeps. I'll tell you, we're going to have a blast once again. I'm really looking forward to what we're going to be doing today, which is actually making a tree farm, right? One of the things you might have thought you make straight away. Now, obviously, there are lots of blaze rods. There are lots of these things as well. What are they called again? Molten cores coming from our blaze farm. And they're steadily filling up the drawers here, and this is because we haven't put them in one that's got a void upgrade and a bunch of storage upgrades as well. So I thought what I'd do a little bit in between work, come over here, start crafting all of that stuff up, right? Well, the thing is, we're actually starting to run out of wood a little bit, and I realised that I'd end up farming a load to make all of the upgrades, so why don't we do a little project at the beginning here and make a wood farm? I think it's going to be quite simple. A farming station from Ender.io. Put it in a little area with a bit of wood and a place to plant a sapling, and it'll just happily chop down trees on its own. Our blaze farm has been running around the clock, by the way. I'm going to turn it off for now, though. I was just doing some investigating to see how much XP is coming through here. And look at this, we're up to 39 levels, so that is doing a wonderful job. So this looks kind of sad and ugly, right? But it actually works, believe it or not. I don't know why I was so interested in this, but I got a tree to grow. Oh, and it punched it away straight away. One of the things we're going to have to do is make some tools that are unbreakable here. Now, it was asking me for a hoe a moment ago, but I put an axe in, and it seems to work with that. So it's getting the saplings back. It goes into there, and it'll also put the extra ones it has here. We get our oak woods. Excellent. So we can automate moving bone meal into this thing, taking the items out with the item conduit. The redstone one will be to turn it on and off, but obviously this looks a little bit pathetic. So what I thought we would do is recess this into the ground. So we're actually going to remove all of this, and before I use vein miner, let's make sure we've gotten rid of all of these right here, because I can accidentally vein mine a lot of stuff I don't want to. Right, now nothing diagonal is going to connect, because from there to here that would connect because it's chisel and bits. Okay. So all these blocks are chisel and bits blocks, and now they're gone. And I was thinking that this block right here might be a cool one to put in the area because it's kind of earthly. It's got like an earthly vibe about it, and it might make it look interesting. It's also going to clash with the purple a lot, and I'm not sure if having it recessed down in the ground like this is actually the way to go. But we will try and, of course, make this farm look a little bit interesting. This block is emerald, by the way. Did I mention that? I think I might have forgotten to mention that. So just having a look for all the different chisel textures. Well, you can see as far as I got because the emerald is on the screen, isn't it? But yes, this is a chiseled emerald texture we're using. Well, I changed to another texture from emerald, and then I started to think, actually, am I getting this entirely wrong? I mean, it's just going to stick out like a sore thumb, and it's not the nicest texture ever. I think I need to take a little bit more time thinking about what we're doing here, rather than rushing into it, you know? It's not finished yet, but it is totally worth it. Okay, so where did I start here? Soul sand? I thought that might be a cool texture to mix with this. Unfortunately, you can't chisel it, so I moved on to some dirt that looked like soul sand, put some water above it, and it kind of just started to feel like it made sense, but then it needed something, and I decided to make a little chisel and bits water pipe, I guess you could call it, right? And it lines up with the texture really well, actually. So you get this like grey area just here where it sort of joins, and then a grey area where you've got the cap at the front and the water coming out. Oh, amazing. So you can chisel and bits water in this mod pack. You need this thing here called a chiseled fluid bit tank, and then you've got to grab some water from somewhere, right click on this thing, and then you can basically right click it and pull out water bits, which is that stuff right there. So I filled the top of this with a little bit of water and just, you know, put in some splashes, some floating bits around there, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. The last thing I think it needs is just something at the bottom to make it feel like there's actually a connection here, like something has happened, and I think using the same texture, no, that's not going to work, but it needs a trim of something. And anyway, then we're going to copy it from this side over to there, over to here, and the whole thing's going to end up looking fantastic. This, however, might not look as pretty. If we pull some XP back into here, we'll be able to pick it up with a bucket like that, and then we'll be able to have liquid XP coming down this fluid conduit. So I believe I set this up earlier. Yep, it's moved it all down. Question is, does that look good? I am not sure. It's a bit too bright really, isn't it? And also there's no connection at the bottom, so it looks a little bit odd. But another way that we could customize things here, I think I'll be looking for a different material. And also you might notice this thing is off, and there is actually a conduit underneath it. That's the redstone conduit. I put it down there just because it's a little bit simpler to get to. And I think later on what we need to make is like a bunch of wireless controls, or sorry, wireless redstone, so we can have like a control room and then control everything from one space. So we won't have silly little levers popping off like this here and there. But for now it's pretty good. I've copied all of the chisel bits around to each side. I think it looks fantastic. And that will just be passively bringing us in wood now, as up the top here there is of course an ender chest that's been hooked up to it. So it's going to hold on to the saplings that it gets, and it's going to farm us wood and apples as well. Oh, there is actually one more step that I almost forgot about. We need to make an unbreakable tool. I get a lot of comments about this, about making my tools unbreakable. Well, we're doing it today, okay? So blank casts and obsidian make reinforcements. 5 of these on your tool will make it completely unbreakable. And so over here, I prepared to make a tool entirely out of paper. It's a paper hatchet. So it may not have, you know, a lot of good mining speed or even attack, but that doesn't really matter when it's in a machine because it's going to get the job done, right? So with 5 of these, we've got to actually just click on it 5 times over. It will then be completely unbreakable, and so now we can put that in the farming station and we never have to worry about this again, because as you can see that one's running out, but this one will last forever. Oh my goodness me, that's the thing I like to say when a fair amount of time has passed by. I've just been crafting like crazy over here, and we have spent, around 1,000 emeralds. I thought it was around 9,000. I checked emeralds a second ago. I could have swore, okay, it says 18k, but the 8 kind of squash kind of looks a little bit like a 0. Whatever. I got a pro tip for you, okay? If you make these frame drawers, that is the cheapest way to make the upgrades required to make these, right? Because all of those things are slightly expensive. You can actually make them with frame drawers, which is pretty cool. So that's a way of saving some resources right there. I have been making loads and loads of these. I've been making the void and storage upgrades. Every single thing that you see in front of you right there has been fully upgraded. I'll just pick one at random. There you go. All of them around this side, all along the back here, all upgraded. The only ones that haven't been are all the ones around here. We're going to leave those alone for now because it's taken me a crazy amount of time. I've also gone around and fished out all the things that are in 2 drawers and made sure that they're in 1. And if you're thinking, you know, what if you're farming something that you don't want to get voided, we'll cross that road when we come to it. There's a lot of stuff up here that we're about to move though. We're going to start to put these things into compacting drawers. For example, gold. The gold nuggets can be used to make capacitors, right? Oh, there's a stupid amount of those there. But anyway, if we store the gold in these drawers over here, then it means they're stored as 3 different types of material at once. That is extremely helpful, and in one drawer like that, we'll be able to hold a lot more ingots than we will in a single drawer up there. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to start moving things over into here. These are going to have the full set of upgrades on them as well. In fact, no, they're not. There's something else rather interesting I'm going to do here that's going to require one of these redstone upgrades to go into here. Yeah, I forgot about that. So we'll set that up and I'll show you what that's about in a moment. Over here though, you'll notice that I've lowered the drawer controller, and that's because I needed, yes, that's right, I needed more access to the sides because we got some items in here that we don't want to be in our system, like these osmium leggings. So what we're going to end up doing is creating a conduit that goes into a trash can that basically says pull out the osmium leggings and put them in here, you know. So we need more access around here. Now that means that the area is going to look a little bit janky, right? So I made up some conduit facades. If we put, let's go 1 there, 1 on the, oh no, it fell down. Fell down because of the lag spike. There we go. So that looks alright. Now we can access that there. From the other side it should look a little bit cleaner. And there are 2 here that I think actually we need 3 of them covering up, right? Because this is all going to be lowered a step now. So let's put those in. Yeah, we're going to need another conduit facade in this area. It's getting a bit cramped around here, but the idea is you'll be able to drop down and then have access to these 2 sides and the bottom bit as well. And that way we'll be able to attach more features to this thing. I'm genuinely a little bit surprised that this actually worked, okay? So what we have here is a filter. We're going to put things we want to be taken automatically out of the system into there. In fact, let's put that back to demonstrate, okay? Then over here we've got a trash can, and we're going to put that filter in the trash can. Now what's cool about these ones is that we can fill up an entire filter and nest it in another one, so we can end up with a ridiculous amount of items that we use there. So now if I go to this Ender.io conduit and I turn it on, so it's always active, it should have pulled that thing out, and it does it right in front of us, which is pretty amazing, right? So now it's going to trash those items automatically. So if I put in some osmium leggings and then click over here, they're in the system. It might take it a little while to pull it out. It might not be instant. But what it's going to do is put it into that trash can, which is extremely cool. So I'm happy that that works. And now what I want to do is show you my plan for this thing right here. So what we're going to do with all of our metals is store them as 3 different types. We're going to have 3 sets of upgrades, and then we're going to have this redstone min upgrade, okay? Now there are 2 different types. There is a max and a minimum, and these did not work how I thought they would, and it was kind of peculiar because I went into a creative world and basically pumped loads and loads of gold into one of these to find out when this would emit a redstone signal, and actually you're only going to get about 30,000 gold ingots into this thing before this one emits. That one will actually emit earlier, and it didn't work the way that I expected it to because it doesn't actually require either of these 2 upgrades in there. Basically, when one of these upgrades hits a certain threshold point for the amount of items in there, threshold for the amount of items in there, it'll emit a signal, and the min was the one that could store the most before it emitted a signal. Now the reason that's important is because what we're going to do over the back here is attach a whole network of these redstone conduits, and we're going to color code them. So this one could be yellow, since it's gold behind it, but I probably won't do it too meticulously like that. And then that will go and output to a wireless signal that is coded yellow, and that wireless signal will go all the way around to here to where we're storing the gold, because we've got loads and loads of this stuff being sieved all the time. Oh yeah, I can't open that, of course not. So somewhere on here there is a gold one. Okay, it is the one at the bottom, I believe. Let's open this up. Yes, it is. That is gold. Right. So then what we would do is have this conduit here controlled by redstone, right? So the wireless signal would make its way over here, and it would tell it to turn on or off based on how much stuff is in that drawer over there. So if we were to craft loads of stuff using gold, items would come out of the drawer, and that would mean that the redstone signal would turn off. Let's jump ahead in time here a little bit. I think this is going to make much more sense when it's all finished, right? Then I'll show you it in action. So as well as those ones needing the redstone upgrades, we are going to store other stuff here as well. One of those things being pulsating iron. I need a bunch of conduits to do what I want to do next, and this is why this is so cool, because I don't have to craft, you know, those things from the other ones first. They're now in the storage system. You can see them right there. So we'll probably need quite a few of those. What we're going to do... I just realised that I can't attach these from the back because there's drawers behind them. So I'm going to have to find another way around. But these are the ones that we're moving. So we're going to extract to there. And then this network is going to insert on all of these. And this is just temporary. This is just to move them from one to the other, you know. Whee, there we go. You can see the numbers changing. Had to break a few blocks. Had to break a few blocks up here to get them over. But now the items will get moved. It occurs to me now, of course, that something we literally learned a minute ago I'm not thinking about. We could probably just extract from here, right? Because it's all about where these things are going to. There's only so many places they can go. I've still got ones up here, though, but none of them are set to insert, so that's not a problem. And if I'm going to put the speed upgrades anywhere, it makes sense to put them on the one that's going to work for all of these, right? So hopefully that'll help us move the items across a bit faster. And all of these drawers get locked as well. These ones are important. We don't want any old item going into here, so that's why we're going to lock them. So after a long time moving the items around, I'm kind of getting different results in this world from on my test world. With 26,000, only one of these upgrades worked, and I can't remember what one it is. I've also been messing around with this thing just to experiment. So on the back of here there is a transmitter from RF Tools, and it goes to this receiver over here, so this means we can send a signal based on the quantity of items. Problem is, when I did this in a different world, it took about 36,000 items for one of these to turn on, and the other one about 26,000. They now just both turn on with that amount in there. So I guess that's the amount that's going to get stored. So at the back here I've got a transmitter. I actually needed to place that on top of a block, so we're going to do the top row first, and then the ones below it after, because you can't sort of place this directly on top. You've got to do the block first, right? So what we do is we basically take a receiver and click on a transceiver like this. This one has channel 4 because it's the 4th one I've placed down. We've now linked that receiver to channel 4, and all of these ones have got their own channel as well. So this one over here is channel 3, which is linked to the one behind there, and that's why the redstone lamp turns on, because it sends the redstone signal. Okay, we've got something important to check here. We've got 7 gold ore pieces, so we're going to chuck it in there. It makes 2 of them, and the fact that nothing's happening is amazing. Now, hopefully I click on this in the right order, because I kind of already know this works. That one, bam, active with signal. It's getting a signal from our receiver, right? And it's moved around and it's gone into these machines and probably been processed already because they're fully upgraded. Right, that's fantastic. The entire thing is going to work. Alright then, this is really good. I'm really pleased with this project. It's working just fine. All of these are doing their thing and emitting redstone signals and stopping this from being active. And I just think it's great. It's worked out really, really well. It's been a bit of a grind, so I think next episode what we need is some adventure. We'll be doing stuff in the base. We'll be leaving the base as well. But check that out. Very neatly organised. Lots of cool features going on here. And the base is really coming together, isn't it? Right, so that is going to be it from me this episode of Hermit Skies. If you have enjoyed it, leave a like. As always, thank you for the support. And I'll see you in the next episode. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.